Chapter 140. Hellions had to eat human flesh and blood in order to remain clear-headed and rational. After Snake Demon Clan entered Bailu City, they wantonly hunted and killed humans as rations, and then reduced all humans to slaves, wantonly torturing and humiliating them. The entire Bailu City was akin to hell. Yang Feng's arrival was akin to the arrival of a savior, easily winning the hearts of everyone in Bailu City. Yang Feng seized the opportunity to dispatch the 6th Mechanized Infantry Division to advance in all directions, driving all Snake Demon Clan's Hellions out of Cineris Principality and firmly grasping the 120,000 square kilometer area of Cineris Principality. After grasping the entire Cineris Principality, Yang Feng wasn't in a hurry to expand. Instead, he dispatched a large number of engineering robots to start building defensive fortifications in Cineris Principality's important cities. After Yang Feng recaptured Cineris Principality, the entire Tyrannid subcontinent was shaken. Countless gazes focused on Steel City, entering the eyes of Tyrannid subcontinent's peak major forces. At that time, Steel City had defeated Fernandro Principality's main army. In the eyes of Tyrannid subcontinent's peak forces, Steel City was but a minor character, and they simply didn't care about it. Now, even the Snake Demon Legion had been defeated by Steel City, and Cineris Principality had been seized by Steel City. Tyrannid subcontinent's peak forces began to take Yang Feng's Steel City seriously. Countless spies, as if moths to a flame, quietly entered Fernandro Principality and Steel City's headquarters, Black City, under all kinds of pretexts, and searched for information. At the same time, as if encouraged by Yang Feng, tyrannical human warlock forces suddenly rose from the Tyrannid subcontinent one after another. They revealed their long-hidden trump cards, erupted with formidable battle prowess, and slaughtered the other races of the underworld's allied forces until rivers of blood flowed. While consolidating his forces, Yang Feng dispatched a mechanized infantry division to attack in the direction of the obscure mountain range, easily taking control of the obscure mountain ranges area. The obscure mountain ranges area was relatively barren and had no magic stone veins. Naturally, no one would attach importance to it, and thus, Yang Feng easily took control of it. After taking control of the obscure mountain range, Yang Feng planned to go to the other side of the planar gate and properly explore it. Planar exploration was something that every warlock would do after promoting to a great warlock. Exploring endless planes and obtaining knowledge and inheritances of each plane. Conquering endless planes and obtaining their resources. Accompanied by continuous exploration and conquest, human warlocks were able to stand at the apex of each plane. Just then, an invitation letter was mailed to Yang Feng. Yang Feng pinched the invitation letter and carefully looked at it for a while, then asked somewhat curiously, "Rose Garden's Young Warlock Genius Assembly. The top 3 will be rewarded with a trip to the Rose Divine Pool." Dephilia, what's so special about the Rose Divine Pool? Snow White Madame Dephilia, sitting on the sofa opposite Yang Feng, rolled her eyes at Yang Feng and said, "Rose Divine Pool is one of Rose Garden's foundation, a level 6 secret treasure. To the treasures too. There. Every 3 years, the Rose Deity Pool will produce a pool of water with miraculous power. Rose Woman, Rose Garden to war. Yang to do she to the of 95% of Rose Garden's warlocks are women. They would only recruit talented women to join Rose Garden. One of the most crucial factors for them to be able to become one of Tyrannid's 6 great forces is that they have the Rose Divine Pool, which can cultivate all kinds of warlock geniuses. At that time, after I entered the Rose Divine Pool to practice cultivation, my cultivation base advanced by leaps and bounds, and I quickly entered the domain of a great warlock. If I hadn't entered the Rose Divine Pool to practice cultivation, then I would at most be a level 3 warlock. Perhaps it would take another 100 years before I could promote to a great warlock. That's why I owe Rose Garden a big favor. Yang Feng, if you want to go further on the warlock path, then this is definitely a good opportunity that you can't miss. Warlock College Antalya, White Elephant's Ivory, Eyes of Justice, Savage Claw and Black Dragon Pagoda all have similar treasures. However, in terms of effect, The Rose Divine Pool is the best for warlocks below the Great Warlock rank. Moreover, the other 5 Great Warlock forces wouldn't let their non-core members use such treasures. Dephilia said faintly. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar glint as he said slowly, "It seems that I have to go to Rose Garden." Yang Feng was very surprised that Rose Garden actually had a divine armament. The so-called divine armaments were treasures that were personally forged by gods from other planes. They were treasures that had mystical powers and were refined from countless precious materials. In other planes, there were many kinds of formidable beings that could be called gods. Even the weakest gods possessed strength by far surpassing that of starry sky warlocks. Each of the divine artifacts created by the powerful gods possessed terrifying abilities. Moreover, not all gods possessed the power to forge divine armaments. Some weak gods were simply unable to forge divine armaments. Rose Garden actually had a divine armament rank treasure, so one could well imagine how formidable their underlying strength was. Yang Feng also somewhat understood why Tyrannid subcontinent's human warlocks would look down on the allied forces from the underworld's races. 3 days later, the news of Snow White Madam joining Steel City quickly spread in Tyrannid subcontinent. This news immediately shocked Tyrannid subcontinent's human forces. Steel City's defeat of the Snake Demon Legion and recapture of Sonaris Principality was merely to make those formidable forces take its existence seriously. But with Snow White Madam, this great warlock rank expert, joining Steel City, that meant that Steel City had leapt to become a first-rate force second only to Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 great warlock groups. Countless forces sent congratulatory gifts to congratulate Snow White Madam for joining Steel City. If it wasn't for the allied forces from the underworld's races besieging cities everywhere, then there would definitely be countless experts personally coming to Steel City to congratulate it. St. Rose City was a city with a population of up to 1 million located in Rose Mountain Range. Rose Garden was located in the depths of Rose Mountain Range. Outsiders weren't allowed to enter Rose Garden, only apprentice warlocks and warlocks of Rose Garden could enter. St. Rose City was a city that provided apprentice warlocks and warlocks of Rose Garden to enjoy secular pleasures. Aristocratic youngsters who longed to enter Rose Garden, merchants who wished to do business with Rose Garden, as well as people with all kinds of objectives, all gathered here, making St. Rose City extremely prosperous. The residences of peak warlock groups are really high-end. Yang Feng looked at St. Rose City's towering skyscrapers, spacious streets, and speeding magic sports cars, as if he was situated in a world that was even more advanced than Earth's technology. "Hey beauties, do you want to hitch a ride?" An incomparably eye-catching silver convertible magic sports car sped over from afar, before stopping in front of Yang Feng and entourage. A charming woman with jade-white skin, long red hair and wearing large sunglasses frivolously revealed a charming smile towards the few girls beside Yang Feng. "I've long heard of Rose Garden's Lalados, but I didn't expect that I would actually encounter such a superb product." Yang Feng looked at that sexy red-haired beauty and was somewhat speechless. Rose Garden was the only formidable warlock group led by women among Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 great warlock groups. Rose Garden's successive masters were all extremely outstanding beauties. At the same time, Rose Garden's Rose Empire's emperor was also an empress. Rose Garden's Rose Garden had more women than men, therefore, the number of Lalas was always high. According to legend, Rose Garden's successive generations were all Tyrannid subcontinent's most formidable Lalas. Shui swept the silver convertible magic sports car with a glance and said with a slight smile, "Ask Gidge, if he says we're hitching a ride, then we'll hitch a ride. We have a car." Yang Feng gave a slight smile and pressed the dimensional crest on his chest. A gold-plated 10-seater convertible luxury sports car embedded with countless gems appeared on the main road. Yang Feng gave the red-haired beauty a somewhat provocative glance and snapped his fingers. The convertible luxury sports car embedded with a large number of gems automatically opened its door. Shui and the other girls boarded the convertible luxury sports car. The guards following beside Yang Feng pressed the dimensional crest on their chests one after another. In a flash, silver sports cars appeared on the main road. Very quickly, a fleet of luxury cars appeared on the spacious passageway. The red-haired beauty took off her sunglasses, revealing a peerlessly beautiful complexion that could turn all living things upside down. She asked curiously, "Is this Steel City's sports car? It looks pretty good. What's the power source? Is it Steel City's newly developed high-energy crystal, Yang Feng?" Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a whiff of vigilance as he said, "Who are you?" The red-haired beauty said with a slight smile, "I'm called Angelina, the eldest daughter of Her Majesty the Empress of Rose Empire and the first successor of Rose Empire. May I have the honor of becoming friends with you?" Yang Feng said with a smile, "It's my honor to be your friend." Angelina asked curiously, "What's the maximum speed of your sports car?" Yang Feng said somewhat proudly, "My Type 1 Lightning Dragon Speedster sports car can reach a maximum speed of 600 kilometers per hour. In Tyrandot subcontinent, the maximum speed of magic sports cars was around 80 kilometers per hour to 150 kilometers per hour. The maximum speed of magic sports cars manufactured by level 3 warlock alchemists could reach a speed of 300 kilometers per hour to 400 kilometers per hour. However, the number of level 3 warlock alchemists was relatively small. The number of magic sports cars refined by level 3 warlock alchemists could also be counted on one's fingers. As for great warlock rank warlock alchemists, they basically wouldn't refine toys like magic sports cars. The 600 kilometers per hour sports car was already Tyrandot subcontinent's top-notch sports car. 600 kilometers per hour. Angelina's beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of excitement and she said with a smile, "Yang Feng, can you do me a favor? I want to participate in a speedster race. Please come with me." Chapter 141. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly as he said, "When? I might not have the time." Angelina's eyes shone and she said with a sweet smile, "Now, let's go to the Fiery Dragon racetrack. It'll only take half a day. I think you'll have a great experience." Yang Feng directly sat on the Type 1 Lightning Dragon. The Type 1 Lightning Dragon automatically closed its door and said towards Angelina with a smile, "Then what are we waiting for? Let's go." The Fiery Dragon racetrack was St. Rose City's most famous racetrack. It was more than 450 kilometers long. The long racetrack contained slopes, sharp turns, cliffs, mountains, sand, hills, and other kinds of terrains. It was the favorite gathering place of St. Rose City's second-generation warlocks and car racing enthusiasts. Each magic sports car's selling price was more than 10,000 magic stones. Moreover, it consumed an inferior magic stone every 200 kilometers. Only formidable warlocks or extremely wealthy second-generation warlocks were qualified to have the financial resources to play with magic sports cars. Yang Feng followed behind Angelina and arrived at the entrance of the Fiery Dragon racetrack. At the entrance of the Fiery Dragon racetrack, there were several tens of extremely eye-catching magic sports cars parked. Next to those magic sports cars gathered many youngsters, handsome men and beautiful women could be seen everywhere. At the same time, those youngsters involuntarily emitted formidable life force. The majority of them were apprentice warlock rank life force, but there was no lack of level 1 warlock rank life force. In a small state like Fernandro Principality, level 1 warlocks were considered to be extremely rare experts. But in St. Rose City, they were nothing. Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon arrived at the Fiery Dragon racetrack. It attracted the gazes of countless people. The Type 1 Lightning Dragon's exquisite design and luxurious 10-seater convertible was still very rare on the Fiery Dragon racetrack. Gold sports car, so unsophisticated. Why would a 10-seater convertible magic sports car come here? This is the Fiery Dragon racetrack. I don't know where this bumpkin came from to actually drive such an unsophisticated car here and make a fool of himself. Ridiculing voices came from the crowd. The Type 1 Lightning Dragon sports car plated with a thick layer of gold and inlaid with countless gems. If it was on Earth, it would definitely make countless young girls scream and countless beautiful women kneel and lick it. But in the world of warlocks, gold was merely a slightly more advanced currency than silver and copper. What was truly valuable were the high-level magic cores and magic crystals of various magical beasts, demons, and extraordinary beings. Yang Feng listened to the surrounding ridicule, his face twitched, he turned around and looked at Eunice and the other women behind him. The aesthetic standards of different worlds are really different. I'm actually being looked down upon by these fellows. No wonder Angelina's gaze was so strange. Eunice covered her mouth and giggled. Dephilia, who was like an iceberg lowly, also revealed a trace of a smile. Coming from a warlock aristocratic family, they naturally knew that the appearance of the Type 1 Lightning Dragon sports car would seem tacky among genuine magic sports car enthusiasts. As soon as Angelina stepped out of the car, numerous gazes were attracted to her. They were filled with admiration, envy, jealousy, and all sorts of complicated emotions. A blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl with a golden ponytail and an extremely good figure, somewhat similar to Angelina's, dressed in a black tight-fitting outfit, yet her appearance appeared somewhat immature. From her appearance, she appeared to be approximately 15 or 16 years old. She walked over with a beaming smile. "Big sister Angelina, you've come. If I'm not mistaken, then the man beside you should be Steel City's Yang Feng." The girl's words had just fallen, when gazes shot from all directions and concentrated on Yang Feng. That Steel City's sole successor, Yang Feng? That lucky good-for-nothing Yang Feng? After Snow White Madam joined Steel City became a force second only to the 6 great warlock groups. He's actually Steel City's sole successor. What a lucky bastard. With Steel City's city master's love for him, even if he's a good-for-nothing, he can still practice cultivation and become a warlock. Yet, reportedly, all of Steel City's resources are tilted towards him. Could it be that he came to St. Rose City for the Rose Divine Pool's cultivation quota? Whispered discussions came from the group of youngsters. Practically all the youngsters looked at Yang Feng with gazes brimming with envy and jealousy. After Snow White Madam Dephilia joined Steel City became a first-rate warlock group second only to Tyrandot subcontinent's 6 great warlock groups. As Steel City's sole successor, Yang Feng naturally received the envy and jealousy of those young princeling warlocks. The more powerful a life form was, the more difficult it was to reproduce. Once a human promoted to a warlock, their life form would undergo a terrifying evolutionary transformation, and their entire level of life would undergo a transformation. After evolving into an official warlock, the success rate of official warlocks giving birth to offspring would begin to drop rapidly. The more powerful a warlock was, the more difficult it was to produce offspring. However, in this world of warlocks, human warlocks had already overcome numerous difficulties and researched elixirs that could increase the success rate of producing offspring. They could increase the success rate of warlocks giving birth to offspring to the apprentice warlock rank. Therefore, in Tyrandot subcontinent, the majority of the leaders of the forces had countless descendants. It was practically impossible to become the sole successor of those forces. As Steel City's sole successor, Yang Feng's status became incomparably noble, even higher than Rose Empire's first successor, Angelina. Angelina, as the first successor, still had to face the competition from Rose Empire's many successors. And Yang Feng was already certain that he would inherit Steel City, this terrifying force. Angelina's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar glint as she said with a smile, "Younger sister Bess, that's right, he's from Yang Feng." A tall and sturdy young man with a head full of scarlet short hair, exuding a valiant aura, with a ridiculing smile on his face, arrived beside Bess and said with a sneer, "Yang Feng, that good-for-nothing Yang Feng with an inferior level, 1 soul aptitude? He's just a hedonistic son of rich parents relying on his family's influence. If it wasn't for his family's help, then you wouldn't even be an apprentice warlock." A slender and handsome young man dressed in a white warlock's chongpao smiled as he walked over and threatened without a trace of anger, "Yang Feng, you good-for-nothing, stay away from Angelina. Otherwise, I don't mind getting rid of you and sending your corpse to your uncle. Presumably, it'll be very interesting." More than a dozen youngsters faintly exuding official warlock rank life force quickly gathered beside the scarlet short-haired man and the man dressed in a white warlock's chongpao, looking at Yang Feng with ridiculing expressions. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly. He turned towards Eunice and Dephilia and asked, "Who are these two brain-damaged idiots? They actually dare to talk nonsense in front of me?" Judy and Shue's experience wasn't rich enough. It was basically impossible for them to recognize these two strange men. Dephilia said indifferently, "I don't know these nobodies." Eunice's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of graveness and she said unhurriedly, "The red-haired man should be Savage Claw's strongest genius of this generation, the blood beast monarch Cookson. And this person should be White Ivory's little thunder monarch Rymont." Eunice transmitted, "Every time Rose Garden holds a warlock convention, not only will the Rose Divine Pool be opened for the most outstanding warlock geniuses to practice cultivation, but at the same time, Rose Garden's most outstanding unmarried women will also be selected as son-in-law. The warlock convention held by Rose Garden is, in fact, a marriage convention. In Tyrandot subcontinent, many of the strongest experts had a wife or lover from Rose Garden. Anyone who wants to deal with Rose Garden must consider the reactions of those peak experts." Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a touch of understanding. "So that's how it is. If that's the case, then although Rose Garden isn't the strongest among the 6 great warlock groups, but it's definitely the most difficult to deal with. Every few years, Rose Garden would hold a warlock convention, gathering Tyrandot subcontinent's young warlock geniuses together. Afterwards, the most outstanding warlock geniuses would be selected to form a marriage alliance. In this way, Tyrandot subcontinent's peak warlock experts would be inextricably linked with Rose Garden. Even within the other 5 great warlock groups, there were also many people who would form a marriage alliance with Rose Garden's female warlocks. In this way, no one would dare to act against Rose Garden, otherwise, they would become enemies with Tyrandot subcontinent's warlock geniuses." Eunice continued to transmit, "Angelina is Rose Empire's first-in-line successor. If one can marry her, then once she ascends to the throne, her husband will be a grand prince. As a prince, her husband would definitely receive a huge amount of resources. In addition to the Rose Divine Pool, Rose Garden also has a lot of secret treasures second only to divine armaments. Those secret treasures can definitely allow one to be reborn and advance a step further." Yang Feng finally understood. No wonder those two fellows were pouncing over like male dogs in heat. It turns out that there's such a huge benefit concealed. Rose Empire was also one of Tyrandot subcontinent's most powerful empires. Once Angelina ascended to the throne, then she would be able to grasp tremendous resources. Although she would have to hand over the majority of those resources to Rose Garden, but the small portion at her disposal was already extremely terrifying. By becoming her grand prince, the benefits he would obtain would definitely be enormous. Cookson's eyes flashed with a touch of a fierce glint. His whole body was shrouded in a layer of dense killing intent, and he threatened in a cold voice, "Yang Feng, you dare to insult us. Could it be that your Steel City wants to betray humanity, rely on the allied forces of the underworld's races, and become shameful traitors?" The allied forces of the underworld's races came menacingly, sweeping away everything in their way. Some human warlocks who didn't have enough time to escape chose to rely on the allied forces of the underworld's races, and became traitors of humanity. "Who do you think you are, to dare frame me?" Yang Feng's gaze was ice cold, and he said coldly, "I see that the two of you are trying to sow discord between Steel City and Rose Garden. You're clearly traitors of humanity. Angelina, have my guards chop these 2 human traitors to pieces, intimidate these petty people, and serve as a warning to others." The 2 guards standing behind Yang Feng pressed the dimensional crests on their chests, and suddenly, their bodies swelled. Shortly after, 2 6-meter-tall level 8 beast-type bladed troops ejected from the dimensional crests. The 2 level 8 beast-type bladed troops didn't say anything else, and in a flash, they launched themselves. Holding high-frequency oscillation blades, they madly chopped at Cookson and Rymont, the 2 young geniuses of Savage Claw and White Elephant Ivory. Cookson's eyes flashed with a whiff of horror, and he bellowed. In a flash, the terrifying life force of a pinnacle level 2 warlock erupted, and he transformed into a 3-meter-tall gorilla covered in red fur, as if burning with flames. After transforming into a red-furred gorilla, Cookson immediately pulled out an up to 3-meter-long wolf-tooth mace and swung it with all his might, directly hitting the high-frequency oscillation blades of the beast-type bladed troop, and sending the high-frequency oscillation blades flying. Rymont's body flickered with lightning, as if he was riding lightning. He didn't retreat, but instead advanced. In a flash, he evaded the attack of the beast-type bladed troop and strangely appeared in front of Yang Feng, before sending his foot carrying lightning radiance towards Yang Feng's head. In a flash, a transparent protective cover flashed in front of Yang Feng. Rymont's foot slammed on the transparent protective cover, setting off ripples on the surface of the transparent protective cover. He was sent flying backwards, and his eyes flashed with a touch of graveness. In front of Yang Feng, an up to 6-meter-tall level 8 shield troop holding a giant shield had already appeared. "Stay your hand." Angelina's eyebrows arched, and a terrifying life force of a level 3 warlock diffused from her body. She swept Yang Feng's group of 3 with a gaze brimming with dignity, and said coldly, "This is St. Rose City. In St. Rose City, you must abide by Rose Empire's laws. If you have any grudges, you can leave St. Rose City and settle them privately outside. Outside St. Rose City, I don't care how you fight. But if you fight in St. Rose City, then you're Rose Garden's enemy. Did you hear that, you 2 idiots? Still not staying your hand? Do you want to become enemies with Rose Garden? Ugly red-furred gorilla." Yang Feng snapped his fingers, and the several level 8 primary battle robots flew back into the dimensional crests of the guards behind him. At the same time, he didn't forget to ridicule them. When Cookson heard that, his eyes were practically spouting flames of anger. He clenched his fists, killing intent surged all over his body, and he took a step forward. Angelina glared at Yang Feng with a slight headache. She calmly took a step forward, blocked in front of Yang Feng, and coldly watched Cookson. Rose Garden's dignity was inviolable. If Cookson were to act again, then Angelina would definitely suppress and seal him. Rymont said in a deep voice, "Enough, Cookson, stay your hand. This is St. Rose City." Cookson's complexion changed several times. Finally, he clenched his teeth, his figure shook, and he quickly reverted to his human form. He glared at Yang Feng with a resentful expression. Chapter 142. Rymont's eyes flashed with a touch of gloominess and he said coldly, "Yang Feng, this is the fiery dragon racetrack. The way to resolve all grievances here was through a race between magic sports cars. Do you dare to make a bet with us? If you don't dare, then get the hell out of St. Rose City." The storage ring in Yang Feng's hand flashed with radiance and a chest fell to the ground. It opened, revealing a chest full of top-notch magic stones. "Make a bet? Interesting, I'm only worried about one thing, that is, you can't come up with the corresponding stake. This is a chest full of top-notch magic stones. You know the value of top-notch magic stones. You 2 poor wastrels, if you can't come up with the corresponding stake, then get the hell out of St. Rose City. Those are the legendary top-notch magic stones. Top-notch magic stones contain the purest magic energy. If the magic energy contained within a top-notch magic stone is completely absorbed, then it's enough to promote a level 2 warlock to a level 3 warlock. It's the first time I've seen a top-notch magic stone. It's a treasure that only great warlocks are qualified to use. A top-notch magic stone is worth at least 2 million inferior magic stones. This chest full of top-notch magic stones is worth at least 2 million inferior magic stones. He's really too rich. The Steel Lord really dotes on his nephew too much, to even give him such a treasure." Gazes of horror, greed, jealousy and envy continuously moved back and forth between the chest full of top-notch magic stones and Yang Feng. Even Angelina's beautiful eyes unconsciously flashed with a touch of absent-mindedness as she looked at the chest full of top-notch magic stones. Top-notch magic stones contain the purest magic energy and were also the easiest magic energy for warlocks to absorb. A top-notch magic stone was equivalent to a charging device in battle. It could continuously restore a warlock's consumed spirit force and physical strength. A top-notch magic stone was equivalent to a terrifying elixir that could stably restore a certain amount of spirit force and physical strength. Such top-notch magic stones were priceless. They would generally fall into the hands of great warlocks and be used for cultivation. Ordinary warlocks would never even see one. The majority of the youngsters around the Fiery Dragon racetrack were incomparably wealthy second-generation warlocks, but only a few of them had seen top-notch magic stones. Many young beauties looked at Yang Feng with shining eyes, as if they had seen a super-rich husband. The complexions of Kuxin and the other man became extremely unsightly. That chest of top-grade magic stones was worth more than 2 billion low-grade magic stones. Although the two of them were first-rate geniuses of Savage Claw and White Elephant's Ivory's younger generation and had promoted to level 2 warlocks before the age of 50, but they still couldn't come up with such a huge sum of money. Yang Feng sneered and ridiculed, "You two poor wastrels, if you don't have the ability to take out the corresponding treasures, then fuck off from St. Rose City." Gazes of pity and ridicule focused on Kuxin and the other man, as if sharp swords were stabbing into their skin, causing them to feel some pain. Yang Feng looked down at Kuxin's group of two, as if he was looking at two clowns. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of delight. The feeling of smashing people with magical stones was quite satisfying. Kuxin's eyes turned red, he flipped his hand, and a palm-sized bronze disc engraved with the sun, moon, and stars appeared in his hand. He shouted at Yang Feng, "Who said that I don't have the stake?" It was a planar astrolabe, a rank 5 secret treasure. In other planes, such a rank 5 secret treasure was called a semi-divine armament. The value of this semi-divine armament wasn't lower than your top-grade magic stones. Level 5 secret treasure. Semi-divine armament. He actually has a semi-divine armament. Voices of astonishment sounded. Practically everyone's gazes were firmly attracted by the bronze disc in Kuxin's hand. In Tyrandot subcontinent, secret treasures of level 3 and above were very rare. Some great warlock rank experts didn't even have a single level 4 secret treasure. As for semi-divine armament rank level 5 secret treasures, even the great warlocks of the 6 great warlock groups might not have a single one. For Kuxin to actually have a level 5 secret treasure, it was naturally very sensational, attracting the gazes of countless people. Even Dephilia's pretty face, which had always been indifferent, had a slight change as she stared fixedly at that planar astrolabe. Eunice transmitted her voice. Planar astrolabe is a must-have item for great warlock rank and above experts to travel between planes. Without a planar astrolabe, even if it's a great warlock rank expert, once their fleshly body leaves our world, then if they're the slightest bit careless, they'll also get lost in the depths of the boundless star sea. If they want to go to the connection point of the countless planes, then without a planar astrolabe, then if they're the slightest bit careless, they'll also get lost in the star boundary. In addition, the planar astrolabe still has another function, that is, it can be used to stabilize the planar passageway. If the planar passageway has a planar astrolabe, then it can become even more stable, allowing even more formidable existences to pass through. For warlocks, planar travel was the most dangerous, but also the most profitable risky activity. Once a formidable human warlock descended to a plane and successfully became the plane's ruler, then they would obtain extremely terrifying benefits. The world of warlocks, that Tyrandot subcontinent, was attached to strictly prohibited large-scale evil human experiments. However, other planes didn't have such restrictions. Some wicked and formidable human warlocks would seize a plane, use that plane as a base, and raise humans in captivity to carry out evil experiments. If a warlock wanted to travel from one plane to another with their fleshly body, then there were 3 main methods. The first method was to use their fleshly body to fly into the boundless starry sky, and then use the starry sky plane's coordinates to go to another plane. The second method was to use their fleshly body to enter the connection point of the countless planes, the star boundary, and then search for the coordinates of another plane from the star boundary. The third method was to use a constructed planar passageway, and then go to another plane from the planar passageway. Apart from these 3 methods, the other methods of using the fleshly body to enter another plane all had huge hidden dangers. As for using projection, avatar, embodiment, and other methods to enter another plane, they wouldn't be able to display the terrifying strength of their true body. To carry out planar travel, it wasn't enough to just have a planar passageway, but also required all kinds of treasures to stabilize the planar passageway. Otherwise, formidable warlocks simply wouldn't be able to pass through the planar passageway, and only some weak existences could pass through the planar passageway. The planar astrolabe was such a treasure that could stabilize the planar passageway. It was extremely important for Yang Feng. After Kuxin took out the semi-divine armament planar astrolabe, he enjoyed everyone's envious gazes for a while, before giving birth to a feeling of regret. Shit, since this planar astrolabe has been exposed, then it'll be very difficult to keep it. Kuxin's regret flashed past his eyes, then his gaze fell on Yang Feng's chest of top-notch magic stones, and his eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar glint. However, as long as I win that chest of top-notch magic stones, then even if I offer this planar astrolabe to the organization, they won't treat me unfairly. For the current me, a chest of top-notch magic stones and the organization's rewards are much more useful than the planar astrolabe. The semi-divine armament planar astrolabe was only of great use to experts at the Great Warlock rank and above who needed to carry out planar travel. For experts below the Great Warlock rank, the planar astrolabe wouldn't be of any use. For Kuxin, the value of the planar astrolabe was far less than that of a chest of top-notch magic stones. Kuxin said coldly, "How about it? This treasure of mine isn't worth less than 2 billion magic stones, right?" Yang Feng smiled coldly and downplayed the value of the planar astrolabe. The planar astrolabe, although this treasure is a semi-divine armament, but its range of use is too narrow. Only experts at the Great Warlock rank and above can use it. If this treasure was in the main continent, then its value would be at least 2 billion magic stones. However, in Tyrannid subcontinent, to be able to auction it for 1 billion magic stones is already very amazing. Kuxin's complexion at once became extremely unsightly. He couldn't deny Yang Feng's words. If the semi-divine armament planar astrolabe was in the main continent, then it would definitely be priceless, a treasure that would cause countless experts to fight over. But in Tyrannid subcontinent, it would appear to be of little value. It wasn't that the planar astrolabe wasn't good, but rather that it was too high-end, so high-end that no one in Tyrannid subcontinent could use it. A secret treasure without any use value, for warlocks, was equivalent to a waste. That's right, this planar astrolabe is useless. Yeah, although this planar astrolabe is a semi-divine armament, but it doesn't have any offensive or defensive spells attached. Apart from positioning in the starry sky and stabilizing the planar channel, it doesn't have the slightest use. Tyrannid subcontinent doesn't have a planar channel, nor does it have any starry sky warlock rank experts. This planar astrolabe is basically useless. I reckon that in Tyrannid subcontinent, the most useless semi-divine armament is this planar astrolabe. Haha. Bursts of laughter came from those youngsters. After recovering from the shock of the semi-divine armament, they saw the value of the planar astrolabe. Kuxin had kept this planar astrolabe in his hands and hadn't sold it, because in Tyrannid subcontinent, this planar astrolabe really couldn't be sold for a good price. Yang Feng's tone changed as he said, "However, I'm a magnanimous person, and I'm bound to promote to a starry sky warlock or above expert in the future. I'm also a bit interested in this planar astrolabe, so I'll reluctantly let you use it as a wager. In order to ensure fairness, let's have Angelina be the notary, and both of us will place the wager with her." Kuxin heaved a sigh of relief and handed the planar astrolabe to Angelina. "All right." Yang Feng also handed the chest of top-notch magic stones worth 2 billion magic stones to Angelina. Angelina was Rose Empire's first-in-line successor, and in St. Rose City, she represented Rose Garden's face. She naturally couldn't embezzle Yang Feng's and Kuxin's wager. A trifling chest of top-notch magic stones and a trash-like planar astrolabe wasn't enough for Rose Garden to throw away its face. Yang Feng waved his hand, and another 10 chests of superior magic stones appeared on the ground. He said with a cold smile, "Raimont, these are 10 chests of superior magic stones." They're worth approximately 150 million inferior magic stones. If you want to wager with me, then take out the corresponding treasure. If not, then please get the hell out of St. Rose City, and don't stay here to make a fool of yourself. Chapter 143. 10 Chests of Superior Magic Stones. So rich. Steel City is really too rich. No wonder they could invite Snow White Madam to join them. How could Steel City be so rich? Seeing the 10 chests of superior magic stones, the eyes of those princeling warlocks turned bloodshot. Although superior magic stones weren't as priceless as top-notch magic stones, but they were still extremely precious treasures. The pure magic energy contained within superior magic stones was also of great benefit to great warlocks. A level 1 warlock would treasure a superior magic stone as if it was a secret treasure, and would only use it to practice cultivation when breaking through bottlenecks. Only Tyrannid subcontinent's great warlock rank experts would have a large amount of superior magic stones. Raimon's complexion alternated between green and white from Yangfeng's words. It was extremely unsightly. If he were to leave St. Rose City with his tail between his legs, then his reputation in Tyrannid subcontinent would be completely ruined. His position in White Elephant's ivory would also plummet. White Elephant's ivory was filled with geniuses. The competition was extremely fierce. With great difficulty, Raimont became the #1 genius of White Elephant's ivory's younger generation. He didn't want to fall from this position. Once he fell, then there would be countless geniuses eyeing his position covetously, stepping on him to ascend. Raimont's complexion changed several times before he finally clenched his teeth, fished out a box from his bosom and opened it, revealing an incomparably resplendent crystal core. This is a Komara lava boa's crystal core. Komara lava boas are existences comparable to dragons. After reaching adulthood, they possess battle prowess comparable to that of great warlock rank experts. If this crystal core is auctioned, then it should be able to fetch 150 million magic stones. There was also a disparity in strength between great warlock rank extraordinary life forms. Extraordinary life forms like dragons were definitely at the pinnacle of the same rank. An adult great warlock rank dragon could definitely deal with 3 great warlock rank extraordinary life forms like Sphinx lava direwolves. Since Komara lava boas were existences comparable to dragons, then once their crystal cores appeared in an auction house, they would definitely be able to fetch at least 100 million magic stones. This was also a kind of priceless treasure. It was a first-rate material used to refine many legend-rank secret treasures. Not bad. I like this crystal core very much. It's barely qualified to gamble with me. Yang Feng gave a faint smile and handed the 10 chests of superior magic stones to Angelina. Raimont snorted coldly and handed the core to Angelina. If I take away all of these bets, I'll be rich. Angelina looked at the astronomical amount of bets and treasures in her hands. Her beautiful eyes glinted with a trace of greed in the depths of her heart. Even great warlock rank experts would be tempted by such a huge amount of wealth. She was just a trifling level 3 warlock, so she would naturally be tempted. Now I will announce the rules of the competition. Each car was limited to 2 people, and the driving distance was 458 kilometers on the Fiery Dragon racetrack. While driving, you are not allowed to directly use magic to attack the other party's driver or vehicle. Can use the vehicle's attacks to attack the enemy. The first one to finish the race wins. Angelina quickly calmed herself down and said with a smile. The Magic Sports Car Race was different from the races on Earth. In the Magic Sports Car Race, it was possible to use the vehicle's attack system to attack the enemy's vehicle and driver. This kind of race was more cruel, but also more exciting. It was deeply loved by princeling warlocks. I'll open the bets. I'll only accept bets on me to lose. Those who want to bet on me to lose, feel free to do so. Magic stones, secret treasures, gold, as long as it's valuable, it can be used as a wager. Yang Feng gave a faint smile and waved his hand. Shortly after, 10 chests of superior magic stones appeared before everyone's eyes. The superior magic stones' resplendent demonic radiance dazzled people's eyes. He said extremely heroically, These are 10 chests of superior magic stones. You don't have to worry that I won't be able to pay up. I'll bet 10,000 magic stones. I'll bet 30,000 magic stones. The princeling warlocks gathered in the vicinity of the fiery dragon racetrack were all hot-blooded youngsters who wished for the world to be in chaos. They came to Yang Feng's side one after another and bet with him. Eunice gave an extremely flirtatious smile, attracting the gazes of nearly 90% of the male princeling warlocks. Those who want to bet with my young master, come and register. The princeling warlocks in the vicinity of the fiery dragon race track came to Eunice's side and began to register. Dephilia transmitted her voice. Are you short on magic stones? Although these little fellas families are rich, but taking out 10,000 to 20,000 magic stones is already their limit. If these little fellas come and bet with you, you'll at most be able to earn a few million inferior magic stones. Yang Feng had a worried look on his face as he sighed in disappointment. A mosquito is still meat, no matter how small it is. I have to support such a large family, so I can't do without magic stones. After the registration was completed, dozens of magic sports cars appeared on the fiery dragon racetrack. Angelina looked at Dephilia beside Yang Feng. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar glint, and she asked curiously, Yang Feng, are you sure you want to bring people on board? Even great warlocks would be tempted by this world-shaking magic sports car wager. The rest of the people wished that there was nothing on board. Yang Feng actually brought along a living person. He looked like an idiot who didn't understand anything. Yang Feng said with a slight smile, that's right. In such a world-shaking wager, he still doesn't forget to pick up girls. This Yang Feng is indeed a sex fiend among sex fiends. Amazing, he's even picking up girls in such a wager. This method is really brilliant. In this way, I'm afraid that the girl will be dead set on him. Such a brilliant method of picking up girls. However, that chick seems to be a bit too young. He actually likes this kind of taste. What a pervert! Whispers sounded from the side. Quite a few princeling warlocks revealed looks of sudden realization. They followed suit and quickly invited their female companions to board their vehicles. Cookson sneered and said with ridicule, you're really an idiot. In such a race, even if you reduce the weight by 1 kilogram, it might decide the outcome of the race. I'm really happy to see that you're so stupid. Yang Feng gave a faint smile. Without saying a word, he took Dephilia towards the Type 1 lightning dragon. Dephilia suddenly transmitted, you actually chose me as your companion, that's really shameless. Dephilia was a great warlock rank expert. If they fought head-on, then she would definitely die. Even if one of her hands was tied, she would still be able to easily beat up everyone here. The corners of Dephilia's mouth suddenly rose slightly, and she transmitted, however, I like this kind of shamelessness. I've helped you so much, so give me 50 of the top-notch magic crystals. Yang Feng also revealed a trace of a smile, and transmitted, deal. The Fiery Dragon Extreme Speed Race track was extremely spacious. It could accommodate 20 magic sports cars simultaneously. However, the number of magic sports cars participating in this race was as high as 153. Therefore, the vehicles of Yang Feng, Cookson, and Raimont, the 3 great experts, were arranged in the last row. The first few rows were arranged for magic sports cars with generally acknowledged poor performance. Such an arrangement was mainly to give those magic sports cars with poor performance a huge advantage, and to give those magic sports cars with poor performance a chance. Next to Yang Feng's nouveau riche 10-seater Type 1 Lightning Dragon, there were 3 sports cars parked. One was Cookson's beloved White Tiger Behemoth Chariot, the other was Raimont's beloved Thunderbolt Chariot with countless lightning symbols, and the last one was a pure red rose chariot with a rose motif. Yang Feng swept the red rose chariot with a glance and said, Angelina, why are you also participating in this race? Angelina, dressed in red tights, gave a tender and charming smile, her beautiful eyes seemingly burning with a fierce fighting spirit. I'm very fond of magic sports car races. Yang Feng, even if it's you, I still won't lose. However, I don't have any malice towards you. I'm only betting 3,000 magic stones. Unfortunately, you're bound to lose. That's not necessarily true. Let the race officially begin. Bisco waved her hand. Her words had yet to fall, when the magic sports car at the forefront flickered with intense fluctuations of magic and, with a rumble, rushed forward like a hurricane. Take a look at how awesome I am. Cookson gave a furious roar, and his tremendous spirit force quickly poured into the white tiger behemoth chariot. Two huge wings quickly extended from the front of the white tiger behemoth chariot. Simultaneously, the white tiger behemoth chariot only took a second to accelerate to 110 km per hour before flapping its wings and riding a hurricane to rise. It rushed above the magic sports cars in front of it, crushed the top of the magic sports cars, and charged forward. Raimont's thunderbolt chariot instantly flickered with lightning, a gale billowed, and like a streak of lightning, it rushed forward, crushing the magic sports cars in front of it and rushed into the sky. Yang Feng, I'll be going first. Angelina gave a sweet smile, operated her magic power, and countless red rose petals suddenly extended from the rose chariot, forming a rose bridge. The rose chariot crushed the rose bridge, easily crossed the magic sports cars in front of it, and sped into the distance. The obstacles that seemed insurmountable on Earth were easily crossed by the magic sports cars with different extraordinary powers. After Cookson's group of 3 sped from the rear to the front, the more than 20 magic sports cars very tacitly slowed down and firmly blocked in front of Yang Feng's Type 1 lightning dragon. A bunch of idiots, get out of my way. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a whiff of excitement. He fiercely stepped on the accelerator and pressed a button. Shortly after, the Type 1 lightning dragon's engine issued rumbling sounds akin to a giant beast's roar. Within a second, the Type 1 lightning dragon's speed instantly soared to 200 km per hour, before fiercely crashing into the rear of a magic sports car in front of it. Boom! Along with a loud sound, the magic sports car was forcibly sent flying by Yang Feng. It tumbled several times in midair, before crashing outside the racetrack. Chapter 144. Boom, 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 boom. Yang Feng piloted the Type 1 lightning dragon, as if a savage beast emerged from the wilderness, rampaging about. The magic sports cars blocking in front of him were forcibly sent flying. As if toys, the expensive magic sports cars were sent flying in all directions, continuously rolling in midair. It was a visually shocking scene. So savage. That magic sports car is really savage. That magic sports car's appearance is mediocre. I didn't expect it to be so savage. At the entrance of the Fiery Dragon racetrack, there was an incomparably huge magic screen. The magic screen clearly displayed the race's situation. When the princeling warlocks saw the savage scene of Yang Feng piloting the Type 1 lightning dragon and sending the magic sports cars flying, they couldn't help but be speechless. When the princeling warlocks raced on the Fiery Dragon racetrack, it was very rare to see someone forcibly send the other party's magic sports car flying. To send the other party's magic sports car flying, then the disparity in performance between the two vehicles had to reach an astonishing degree. It was like the huge disparity in armor performance between an ordinary sedan and a heavy armored tank on Earth. The magic sports cars were basically made by level 2 and level 3 warlock alchemists, so the disparity in performance naturally wouldn't be that big. When the magic sports cars blocking in front of Yang Feng saw this scene, they got out of the way and opened up a path. Under Yang Feng's piloting, the Type 1 lightning dragon sped forward. It quickly overtook one magic sports car after another, and entered the first group of magic sports cars. Suddenly, the more than a dozen magic sports cars lagging behind flashed with magic radiances, and fireballs were instantly shot from the more than a dozen magic sports cars, bombarding the Type 1 lightning dragon. The level 1 spell fireball was the most common offensive spell attached to magic sports cars. The more than a dozen magic sports cars besieged Yang Feng, practically covering the entire track. So ruthless, they're trying to kill Yang Feng. A single fireball would be fine, but the more than a dozen fireballs were fired at the same time, the magic sports cars definitely wouldn't be able to withstand it. They're going for the kill. When the more than a dozen fireballs flashed, the eyes of the princeling warlocks surrounding the Fiery Dragon race track flashed with a touch of graveness, and they commented. The magic sports cars used in the competition were modified and custom-made secret treasures by princeling warlocks. Every magic sports car was very sturdy and could completely withstand the bombardment of several fireballs. Yang Feng domineeringly sent magic chariots flying, yet didn't injure the drivers in the slightest. Because the magic chariots were sturdy and durable, they weren't so easily destroyed. Generally speaking, a few fireballs would be launched at most in a magic sports car race to force the opponent to admit defeat. The continuous bombardment of fireballs was definitely going to kill the other party. Boom, boom, boom. The dozen-plus fireballs at once bombarded the Type 1 lightning dragon piloted by Yang Feng, setting off a huge explosion. In an instant, the lightning dragon rushed out from the flames of the fireball explosion under everyone's shocked gazes, and a transparent protective shield enveloped the entire body of the lightning dragon. It's impolite not to reciprocate. I'll let you have a taste of my power. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with killing intent and he pressed a button. From behind the carriage of the lightning dragon, a dozen Gauss cannons extended out. The dozen Gauss cannons madly spat extremely ferocious tongues of fire, madly shooting towards a magic sports car. In a split second, the magic sports car also released a warping force field. The dense crowd of Gauss cannons ferociously bombarded the warping force field. After a mere second of deadlock, the warping force field was immediately shattered, and the countless Gauss cannons swallowed the magic sports car. Boom! Along with a sky-shaking blare, the magic sports car directly exploded, with countless parts sputtering in all directions. A battered and exhausted figure shot out from the explosion. The owner of that figure had a look of alarm and resentment on his face as he looked at the Type 1 lightning dragon piloted by Yang Feng. If he wasn't a level 1 warlock and had cast a defensive spell in the nick of time, then he would have already been smashed to pieces by the Gauss cannons. The dozen-plus Gauss cannons slightly adjusted their muzzles, then spat out countless tongues of fire, once again shrouding a magic sports car. Boom! The magic sports car was directly blasted to pieces. The driver of the magic sports car, however, had seen the opportunity and had already jumped out of the magic sports car. Go to hell all of you! Yang Feng gave a cold smile and pressed another button. The body of the Type 1 lightning dragon opened, and shortly after, miniature laser-guided tracking bombs were shot towards the magic sports cars, dragging trails of white smoke behind them. Fuck! Bastard! When the drivers of the magic sports cars saw the dense crowd of miniature laser-guided tracking bombs, their complexions turned pale. After they blessed themselves with defensive spells, they quickly jumped out of the magic sports cars in a sorry state. Boom! 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 Under the bombardment of the miniature laser-guided tracking bombs, the dozen-plus magic sports cars turned into a dozen-plus huge fireballs, with countless parts shooting in all directions. The complexions of the dozen-plus magic sports cars drivers were pale, and their eyes flashed with a touch of fear. What a ruthless guy! Those fellows from Savage Claw and White Elephant's Ivory reacted quickly. If they hadn't jumped out of the vehicles, then they would have been blown to death. That guy Yang Feng is really ruthless. Those dozen guys are the nephews of Savage Claw and White Elephant's Ivory's Council of Elders. He actually dared to be so ruthless, he's really lawless. So wonderful, this is the most wonderful race I've ever seen. That's a Type 1 lightning dragon refined by Steel City. It's really a good car. I wonder how many magic stones it costs. If only I could buy a Type 1 lightning dragon. At the entrance of the fiery dragon racetrack, when those princeling warlocks saw Yang Feng blow up the dozen-plus magic sports cars, they were extremely excited and discussed spiritedly. It was the first time that a magic sports car was able to destroy a dozen-plus hostile magic sports cars in a flash. When those magic sports car enthusiasts saw how savage the Type 1 lightning dragon was, their eyes shone. They wished that they could immediately seize the Type 1 lightning dragon for themselves, and then properly play with it. When the magic sports cars behind Yang Feng saw this scene, they didn't dare to release spells to attack Yang Feng's Type 1 lightning dragon. However, they still urged their spirit force, increased the speed of their sports cars, and chased after it. Even if Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon's offensive power was stronger, but he still wouldn't dare to risk universal condemnation by killing the drivers of those magic sports cars for no reason. After all, those drivers didn't have anything remarkable about their own abilities, but their backgrounds were quite frightening. After destroying the dozen-plus magic sports cars behind him, Yang Feng pressed a button, and 4 rocket propellers extended from the rear of the Type 1 Lightning Dragon. The 4 rocket propellers ejected a terrifying stream of air, causing the Type 1 Lightning Dragon's speed to once again frantically accelerate, as if a rocket was chasing ahead. Within a short dozen-plus seconds, the Type 1 Lightning Dragon, under Yang Feng's control, charged all the way, quickly closing the distance between him and the 3 first-rate magic sports cars ahead at a speed visible to the naked eye. So fast! The Type 1 Lightning Dragon's speed is really frightening. To be able to catch up to them even though it started later, this speed is too heaven-defying. Such a speed, I'm afraid it has already surpassed 400 kilometers per hour. When those princeling warlocks at the entrance of the fiery dragon race track saw this scene, their eyes were brimming with shock, and they discussed spiritedly. Tyrandat subcontinent's magic sports cars generally had a speed of more than 200 kilometers per hour, even if they were blessed with all kinds of spells. The highest they could reach was 300 kilometers per hour. A speed of 400 kilometers per hour, only great warlock rank warlock alchemists of legend could refine such a first-rate magic sports car. However, great warlock rank experts basically rode all kinds of flying secret treasures, or powerful bird-type extraordinary life forms. Very few people would be so bored as to refine flashy secret treasures like magic sports cars. Experts above the great warlock rank were terrifyingly strong, comparable to godlike existences. Those formidable existences generally wouldn't be so bored as to play with things like magic sports cars. Their speed far surpassed the limits of the magic sports cars. Angelina, I'll be going first. Yang Feng whistled towards Angelina as he overtook the red rose chariot. He laughed out loud, and then directly drove the Type 1 Lightning Dragon to overtake Angelina. He was, after all, a youngster from Earth, and had a frivolous temperament. Bastard! Angelina scolded in a low voice, before pouring her tremendous spirit force of a pinnacle level 3 warlock into a magic array inside the red rose chariot. Countless rose petals suddenly emerged from the red rose chariot, before turning into several rose magic chains, at once firmly adhering to Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon. Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon dragged the red rose chariot at a crazy speed. Under the interlocking of the rose magic chains, the speed of Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon suddenly dropped, before becoming equal to the speed of the red rose chariot. Yang Feng was slightly distracted, before saying with a loud laugh, "No way! Angelina, that's too shameless." Angelina said with a complacent smile, "That's a tactic. Magic sports car races are like this, only victory is justice." That's right, only victory is justice. Along with a wild laugh, Cooksun's white tiger chariot extended ahead, before quickly extending a 2m-long conical sharp ram. With a crazy acceleration, it ferociously slammed into Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon from the left. So ruthless! He actually hit the ram. Too ruthless! A collision with a ram installed at a speed of nearly 400 kilometers per hour, even a level 3 warlock's protective spell can be destroyed. Cooksun's move is really too ruthless. At the entrance of the fiery dragon race track, those princeling warlocks were very excited as they discussed. The white tiger chariot had been modified to weigh more than 5 tons. With such a colossus ramming at a speed of 400 kilometers per hour, even a level 3 warlock's defensive spell wouldn't be able to withstand it. Yang Feng pressed a button, before a transparent protective cover was instantly released from the Type 1 Lightning Dragon chariot, shrouding more than half of the chariot. Cooksun's white tiger chariot ferociously slammed into the transparent protective cover, before immediately issuing extremely ear-piercing sounds of friction. In the next moment, a scene that no one had expected appeared. The ram of Cooksun's white tiger chariot was unexpectedly forcibly broken, before the entire chariot was sent flying under the tremendous reaction force. It continuously spun and was sent flying out of the racetrack. Yang Feng gave a cold smile, then pressed a button. Numerous openings opened on the chariot's body, and miniature laser-guided automatic homing missiles madly shot towards Cooksen's white tiger chariot like raindrops. Boom, boom, boom. Bursts of explosions instantly engulfed the white tiger chariot. With countless flashes of lightning, the thunderbolt chariot driven by Reincarnation was akin to a railgun shell. Along with countless electric arcs, it rumbled and its speed rose to 500 kilometers per hour in one fell swoop. In a split second, it surpassed Yang Feng and madly sped away into the distance. Yang Feng's gaze congealed slightly. He gave up on killing Cooksen and pressed a button. Two flamethrowers extended from the Type 1 lightning dragon chariot, spraying two long streams of flames that fiercely burned the two magic chains constructed from rose flowers. Under the burning of the flames, the magic chains of rose flowers burned and collapsed. The power of Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon's 4 rocket launchers was increased to the limit, ejecting a terrifying stream of flames, allowing the Type 1 Lightning Dragon's speed to rise to 600 kilometers per hour. As the tires rubbed against the ground, it splashed countless sparks. As if it was about to fly, it tore through the air and shot towards Reincarnation, bringing along a terrifying hurricane. Angelina's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of extraordinary splendor, and she praised sincerely, "What a fast sports car. This speed definitely exceeds 600 kilometers per hour. What a good car. Steel City's alchemy is really amazing." In terms of speed alone, Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon was definitely the fastest magic sports car that Angelina had ever seen. Within a short few dozen seconds, Yang Feng drove the Type 1 Lightning Dragon to catch up from behind, and then drove side by side with the Thunderbolt chariot driven by Reincarnation. Reincarnation's eyes flashed with a touch of astonishment, and he was greatly shaken within. "What a fast car! My Thunderbolt chariot is a magic sports car refined by a great warlock rank alchemist. Steel City clearly doesn't have a great warlock rank alchemist. How could they refine such a fast magic sports car?" The Thunderbolt chariot was a treasure that Reincarnation had obtained during a fortuitous encounter. It was a sports car refined by a great warlock rank expert. He had always believed that his Thunderbolt chariot was Tyrannid subcontinent's #1 magic sports car, but he had never thought that Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon would be so much faster than his. Thunderstorm. Reincarnation's complexion changed several times, before he finally took out a superior magic stone and threw it into a groove. A tremendous spirit force at once poured into the Thunderbolt chariot. The Thunderbolt chariot instantly flickered with lightning, rumbled, and a bolt of lightning fiercely struck at Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon chariot. Chapter 145. The bolt of lightning at once struck the Type 1 Lightning Dragon's protective cover, forcibly splitting open the Type 1 Lightning Dragon's protective cover and bombarding the Type 1 Lightning Dragon's outer armor. The Type 1 Lightning Dragon's outer armor flashed with radiance and immediately channeled the electric current into the power propulsion furnace. Yang Feng was also startled by the sudden change and broke out in a cold sweat. "What a strong bolt of lightning! It can actually split a level 4 protective cover. If the bolt of lightning was a bit stronger, then my Type 1 Lightning Dragon wouldn't be able to withstand it." Yang Feng had long since understood that there wasn't a single magic sports car in Tyrannid subcontinent that could compare to his Type 1 Lightning Dragon in performance. The might of the Thunderbolt chariot was far beyond his imagination. "Since it's like this, then go to hell." Yang Feng's eyes flashed with killing intent and he fiercely pressed several buttons in succession. Countless miniature laser-guided missiles flew out of the Type 1 Lightning Dragon and bombarded the Thunderbolt chariot like raindrops. Reincarnation was startled and he threw several superior magic stones into the Thunderbolt chariot's magic power grooves. At the same time, he used his spirit force as a primer and launched the defensive spell Storm Barrier attached to the Thunderbolt chariot. A terrifying storm instantly enveloped the Thunderbolt chariot, and the miniature laser-guided missiles were diverted by the storm, falling to the side of the road and exploding, blasting huge holes in the ground. When the princeling warlocks at the entrance of the fiery dragon race track saw this scene, their eyes were firmly glued to the magic screen and they didn't even dare to breathe heavily, for fear of missing out on the battle between the two legendary chariots. Raimont had just heaved a sigh of relief, when he suddenly felt a chill in his heart and a premonition of death welled up in his mind. He swept the rear with a glance and saw that all of Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon's weapon systems had been completely retracted. A muzzle similar to that of a main artillery extended and countless electromagnetic radiances converged in the muzzle of the main artillery. Fuck, what's that? Raimont's heart was filled with fear of the unknown. He clenched his teeth and drove the thunderbolt chariot as if a streak of lightning continuously twisting and turning on the track, performing all kinds of outrageous actions. In addition to blocking, dodging was the best way to avoid the magic sports car's attacks. The most top-notch magic sports car racers could even avoid the bombardment of fireballs. That's a good idea. Unfortunately, no matter how hard you try to hide, you won't be able to escape the calculations of a supercomputer. When computing power evolves to the pinnacle, the derivative ability is future prediction. Yang Feng sneered inside. 3 seconds later, the Lightning Dragon's super electromagnetic gun fired out a terrifying bolt of electricity, instantly blasting Raimont's Thunderbolt tank. Boom! More than half of Raimont's Thunderbolt chariot was sent flying, its wreckage splattering everywhere as the entire chariot was sent flying into the air. A terrifyingly large hole that was 13 to 14 meters deep and 5 to 6 meters wide appeared where the Thunderbolt chariot had originally been. How savage! What kind of spell is that? Too cruel. Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon was really too savage. Were all the sports cars developed by Steel City so savage? It can be used as a weapon of war. The princeling warlocks at the entrance of the fiery dragon race track were all dumbstruck as they commented. It was the first time they had seen a magic sports car loaded with such a formidable weapon of war. After half of Raimont's Thunderbolt tank was destroyed, killing intent flashed past Yang Feng's eyes. He once again recharged the super electromagnetic gun. In another 3 seconds, he would be able to fire another super electromagnetic gun and kill Raimont. I'm not willing. Yang Feng, go to hell. As long as you're dead, then everything will cease to exist. Raimont's eyes were bloodshot, hatred shrouded his mind, and he ruthlessly crushed a jade card. A terrifying life force comparable to that of a great warlock rank instantly pervaded the area. Great warlock? Those are great warlock rank fluctuations of power. Raimont finally went crazy. It seems that he used White Elephant's Ivory's ultimate trump card. To actually have the protection of a great warlock rank, it seems that this Raimont is White Elephant's Ivory's most valued genius. It seems that Yang Feng is going to die. A great warlock rank expert's move is a thunderbolt. Unless there's an expert of the same rank, otherwise, it's basically impossible to resist. The complexions of the princeling warlocks at the entrance of the fiery dragon race track changed slightly and their eyes flashed with a touch of graveness. As they looked at Yang Feng, their eyes also flashed with a touch of pity. Every great warlock rank expert possessed world-shaking terrifying power. In many planes, they were legend rank experts who left their mark in history. As long as a great warlock rank expert acted, then existences under the great warlock rank were basically invincible. A large hand condensed from magic power, with the pressure of MT Tai, grabbed at Yang Feng's Type 1 Lightning Dragon. Damn bastard! Angelina's pretty complexion changed and she cursed fiercely, her beautiful eyes flashing with a touch of helplessness and bitterness. Although she was a peerless genius of Rose Garden, but she was still powerless to contend against a great warlock. Hi Yang Feng, you're dead. Cookson, who had caught up from behind, revealed a trace of a malevolent smile on his face when he saw this scene. Under everyone's gazes, when the large hand condensed from magic power appeared, the Type 1 Lightning Dragon, whose speed reached 600 kilometers per hour, was immediately powerlessly suspended in the air, its tires madly idling. It was as if it was a small white mouse frantically struggling in a human's large hand. The large hand made of magic power lightly poked, and the protective cover shrouding the Type 1 lightning dragon collapsed and shattered like a bubble, before grabbing at Yang Feng. Humph! A trifling remnant of power that isn't even a projection dares to bare its fangs and brandish its claws in front of me. Turn into an ice cube and shatter. Daoism, who was sitting next to Yang Feng like an indifferent lowly, snorted coldly. Terrifying great warlock rank fluctuations of power diffused from her petite body. She extended her lily-white finger and flicked slightly, and a white cold air instantly shrouded the large hand made of magic power. The large hand made of magic power was instantly shrouded by the white cold air, before condensing into a huge block of ice, before instantly collapsing and turning into silver ice fragments that scattered on the ground. Great Warlock? That's a Great Warlock rank expert. That girl is actually a Great Warlock. Snow White Madam, she must be Snow White Madam. Not long ago, Snow White Madam had just announced that she had joined Steel City. Snow White Madam, she's Snow White Madam? Too shameless to actually let a Great Warlock rank expert board the vehicle. Too despicable. On the fiery dragon racetrack, those princeling warlocks were dumbstruck as they cried out involuntarily. Snow White Madam, that girl is actually Snow White Madam. Furthermore, she's following Yang Feng. How is this possible? Angelina was dumbstruck, her beautiful eyes brimming with incredulity. Practically everyone didn't dare to believe their eyes, and didn't dare to admit this fact. In Tyrannid subcontinent, every great warlock rank expert was a top-notch existence. They spent most of their time in their warlock pagodas, practicing cultivation or conducting all kinds of research. For such a bigwig to actually act as a bodyguard by Yang Feng's side, it was as inconceivable as a lofty king running over to act as a bodyguard for an ordinary civil servant with a low status. Since you can't afford to lose, then go to hell. Daoism snorted coldly, then flicked her finger and a pure white cold air instantly swept towards Raimont. Raimont's complexion changed greatly when he was faced with the pure white cold air. He took out a magic staff and silently recited an incantation. A long flame, as if a huge fire snake, swept towards the pure white cold air. When the huge fire snake came into contact with the pure white cold air, it issued zzz sounds and then immediately disappeared with a pa sound. The pure white cold air at once shrouded Raimont, directly freezing him into a human-shaped ice sculpture. A blood-colored cross suddenly appeared between Raimont's eyebrows, and terrifying great warlock rank fluctuations of power erupted in a flash. The entire ice sculpture immediately burst open, with countless ice fragments splashing in all directions. Raimont's aura changed, his eyes were shrouded in a layer of incomparably profound light of wisdom, as if he had become another person. He uttered a slightly aged voice and said extremely overbearingly, "So it's Snow White Madam. I'm Grant of White Elephant's Ivory. Raimont is the most outstanding of my grandchildren. You actually dared to attack him. Do you want to become enemies with White Elephant Pagoda?" In Tyrannid subcontinent, the 6 great warlock groups were aloof, and their style of conduct was similarly incomparably overbearing. Even the relatively amiable and approachable Rose Garden was brimming with pride. Daoism's eyebrows arched, and she directly transmitted, "Yang Feng, you've provoked a big one by beating the small one. Do you want to get rid of this waste? If we get rid of him, then we'll basically have a falling out with White Elephant Ivory." Yang Feng sneered, "This old thing is so savage, there's no need to give me face. Get rid of them. In any case, this is Rose Garden, not White Elephant Ivory." Along with the continuous increase of Yang Feng's power, his trump cards were also increasing. Although he still wasn't a match for the 6 great warlock groups, but if the other party were to attack him, then he would definitely give the other party a pleasant surprise. "Grant, you're just a projection of power attached to your grandson, yet you still dare to threaten me. You're really reckless. You can die now." Daoism sneered, operated her magic power, pointed with her lily-white hand, and condensed ice-cold force into a white breath of ice that rolled towards Raimont. In a split second, Raimont was directly frozen into an ice sculpture, fixing his startled and angry expression. Grant, who was attached to Raimont, was also a great warlock rank expert, but a projection of power wasn't enough to contend against a formidable great warlock. Welcome to Immortal Cultivation Audiobooks, your gateway to the mystical world of Xianxia. Dive into legendary tales of martial arts, spiritual growth, and immortal ascension. Here, we bring you full-length English audiobooks of the best Wuxia and Xianxia stories, from young prodigies to ancient sect wars. Perfect for fans of Against the Gods, martial world, and tales of demons and gods.